Okay, so now let's get into actually creating some blues songs. Now, if you've gone through part one, all right, of ABCs of the blues, you know a couple of different styles in the left hand. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blues song over each one of those styles. I'm also going to show you some introductions and a great ending that works over all of the styles. So it's a great way of tying it all together and coming up with something that is uniquely yours. And the first thing is, take a look at the shuffle song here. You're going to notice that I have done 2 riffs. That's it. Now, when sitting down and trying to create a song, a blues song, like sitting down and improvising, where most students go wrong, and I consider myself that I've gone wrong in this way in the past as well, is that we play too much, right? We just end up playing too much stuff. So if you take and play just 2 riffs and play them over and over again, you might think, oh man, isn't that going to sound boring? Actually, on the contrary, it's not going to sound boring because to the listener's ears, it's going to be something that they can gravitate toward. Now, you've heard this before. My baby done left me, he's gone now. My baby done left me, he's gone now. He's no good for me, he'll never be back. My baby done left me, he's gone now. So you'll hear like the same thing in a lot of those old blues tunes. I'm not a singer. All right, so the first riff I have here is 1 ba trip ba let da dee ba. So I'm just using that block right here, that B block as I like to call it on the blues scale, just all on the blues scale. What can this riff be? It could be whatever you want it to be. All right, it could be. Right? As long as you can remember it, or you're going to write it down, and you can play it the same way every time, it could be whatever you want it to be. You could use the pentatonic. The pentatonic. If you use something like that in which you're going to like C pentatonic, like the bluesy pentatonic, as I've talked about it before, when you move up to the F chord, you're going to want to do like that pentatonic on the F. All right? But if you're using the blues scale, you could take the same riff and do it over all of the chords. Okay, so what I have here is ba trip ba let da dee ba. And this is where you can play around with the articulation as well. So you can like hold them out a little bit longer. You can play that first C short. Ba, be, da. You can also play that one short. Okay, so you have a lot of flexibility there in what it is you can do. Now, when I add on the left hand, and one thing to remember here about the shuffle song, I wrote it all in 1/8 notes in the left hand because it just makes it a lot easier to read than seeing all those triplet brackets. But remember that the left hand is actually triplets. It's really trip-ba-let, trip-ba-let, trip. So when you see triplets written up here, it says 1, 2, 3, and you see 1/8 notes down here, you only see 2. It's actually going on the first one and on the third one, okay? So that middle one there, okay, is getting left out. So when you see 1/8 notes down there, it's really lining up to those, to the first and the third triplet. You'll see what I mean right here. So we have ba, trip, ba, trip, ba, let, da. Going slow like this painfully slow. It's really difficult. Here we go. Let me do it again for you. Ba, trip, ba, let, da, dee, ba. Again. Ba, trip, ba, let, da. Then I go up to the F. Ba, trip, ba, let, da. Notice I didn't change anything in the right hand. I go back, I do that lick again. Ba, trip, ba, sorry. Ba, trip, ba, let, da. Now here I'm going to do a B riff. Do the same thing on F. Then back to the A riff. Now I can go through and I can change that A riff and the B riff all over the place. So now I can do. Go back to the same B riff. I can change it. So now what I just did there, what you just heard is that I started with what I wrote out here, but then I expanded upon it. So notice how I started to creep higher as well on the keyboard. Still the same concept. Pretty much. When I got to the end, I got a little bit more advanced, but really not much. If you listen to it, you'll hear that it's pretty much like the same riff and then a different riff. So riff A and then riff B, okay? Riff, lick, same thing. Okay? So I'd have an A lick and then I would have a B lick. So what you should try is come up with some simple licks. Start simple at first. Okay? If you find that you're having difficulty, I can almost guarantee you that you're starting too difficult. Okay? That you're trying to do too much right away. Okay? If you find that it's too easy for you, well then that's where you can then say, oh, well, let me bump up the intensity level here and try something a little bit more challenging. A nice challenge is just seeing if you can remember that lick from the C chord to the F chord. I'll tell you, to be honest with you, myself personally, I'll play something and I forget it, and I'll go to the F chord. It's like, oh man, what was that I just played again? So that's a good challenge as well. That's some good ear training work for you as well, right there. So anyway, start simple. Start with this. The other thing you can do is just try changing the last two notes of the lick that I already have here. Right? So just try changing it around rather than having to come up with something brand new. You could start with what I have and use that as a springboard. Okay? I'm going to also make sure that I include the left hand with a blank treble clef for each one of these four, right, in the sheet music. So you get a lot of sheet music. You can print those out and you can write out your own stuff. Okay? All right, I'll see you in the next chapter.